Hello, good people. Kenneth Hollins here with HollinsMusic.com and MyKeyboardConnection.com. Just wanted to come on live and to share some things with you that I believe will help you as a gospel musician. Today, what I have for you, I'm calling this Keys for Learning to Play in Every Key. Now, I know this is a hot topic right here, what I'm getting ready to get into. There are mixed emotions about it. People have different opinions about it. Should I use transpose or should I avoid it? Or just the whole debate about, is it a big deal? And I don't really want to get into whether or not it's a big deal, but what I want to talk about briefly is if you do not want to use it, how you can get to the place where you really can play in all 12 keys and it's not a problem. Okay, so I'm going to give you some strategies, some tips, some keys, if you will, that I believe will help you to be able to do that if that is something that you desire to do. Okay, so this is live, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask any questions that you may have. And if I can, I'm definitely going to try to answer your questions. Okay. So, why is it important to know how to play in all 12 keys? Now, if you're a gospel musician, sometimes the music that we play is spontaneous. And by that, I mean in certain situations, you may have to play what's called congregational songs. And a congregational song is simply a song that someone would start off leading, and then the congregation would join in. Songs like "Bless That Wonderful Name of Jesus," or songs like "I'm a Soldier in the Army of the Lord." Songs like that. Those are congregational songs. And in the setting that I grew up in terms of gospel music, we would have what they call testimony service. I know some of you all know what I'm talking about. Some of you all may not know what I'm talking about. But the way testimony service would go is someone would get up and they would be the conductor of the service, and then people would just start singing songs. Um, as the musician, I didn't know what they were going to sing. No one walked up to me and said, "Okay, I'm going to do Bless Their Wonderful Name in the key of E flat." Did not do that. They just stood up and started singing. And as the musician, it was my responsibility to find the key that they were in, as well as know how to play the song. Okay. And when you do it on a regular basis, you get pretty proficient at it. So I had to learn how to play in every key. Not only that, if you're a musician where you play behind a preacher, if the preacher tunes up, or if he hoops, or he gets to that real driving part of the message, and you want to back him up, if you don't know what key that the person likes to be in, they could be in any key. They could be in E flat, they could be in F sharp, they could be in A flat, they could be in B flat, they could be in a number of different keys. And you want to be the type of musician that no matter what key they're in, you can comfortably play for them or play behind them. So I just said all of that to say it's very helpful to be able to play in every key. And again, that's what I want to talk about, and how to do it. Okay. So I'm going to share these keys with you. All right. So I think one of the first things or first adjustments that you need to make if you're a musician that you want to be able to play in every key is you have to make sure that you are practicing. Hello, Caesar. You have to make sure that you're practicing evenly. Okay? That's real important. The way you practice is going to make a real big difference. And let me explain to you what I mean. If you learn, say, for example, a lick, like a run or something, and you like that run, you learn it in the key of E flat major. It's important for you. Now, this takes a lot more time and it's much more work, but it's really worth it. If you learn it in E flat, you should also learn it in all of the other keys too. Learn it in E, F, F sharp, G, A flat, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat. Hello, J.M. Kelly. So you want to make sure that you are learning it in all 12 keys. So it won't be a thing of you know it in the key of A flat, but you don't know it in A. You know it in the key of C sharp, but you don't know it in D. Okay. Now, like I said, there's more work, but it's worth it because whenever you want to do that run, the key won't even matter to you because you've taken the time to practice it evenly. Okay. If you learn a new chord progression, say for example, you learned a song, and in that song was a really nice chord progression that you really like. You say that's really nice. Um, and you learned it in one key, the best thing to do is take that progression that you like and try to learn it in every key. This is what I have learned. It's very helpful to get you a metronome or something that is keeping a consistent tempo. You may on your keyboard, if you have a keyboard that has rhythm on it, you can turn on that rhythm and it's keeping a beat for you or whatever. And what you do is you take the chord progression or the lick or whatever you're doing. Say, for example, the lick is a bum ba doom ba doom ba doom boom, bum ba doom ba doom ba doom doom. So that's the lick. And so once you learn it in the first key, you take it up maybe a half step. Bum ba doom ba doom ba doom doom. And then you keep taking it up. So I hope you're seeing what I'm saying. You take the thing that you've learned in one key, and then you begin to apply it to every other key. And that metronome is going to ensure that you're practicing it in the other keys the same way that you practiced it in the original key. Okay. And that's just a principle. It doesn't have to be a lick. It could be a chord progression, or just a chord or a song. But you take that, whatever it is that you've learned, and then you begin to apply it to every key. I like to practice things in half steps, just like I was singing a few seconds ago, rather, as well as practice in fourths, practice in fifths, things like that. So that way you can cover every key and you know that you're not missing anything. Okay. So that's the first key. Second key is to change the way that you think about music. Okay. Uh, and the first change that I want you to make in the way that you think about keys is do not think that keys are hard. Okay. Now, this is just my personal philosophy, and maybe some people that may disagree with me. I don't believe it's anything um, as such as a hard key. No such thing as a hard key. Don't think of it like that. If you think of it like A natural is a hard key, or E natural is a hard key, or D natural is a hard key, it's going to do something to your mind when you try to play it because you are approaching it like it's a hard key. No, it's not a hard key. It's an unfamiliar key. If you think of it like that, I think it'll help you. Think of it like this. Okay, what are some real popular keys for gospel music? A flat, E flat, B flat, C sharp, or D flat. Those are real common um, keys. I think somebody just asked a question. Greetings from Denmark. Thank you for joining me. Okay. Okay. Thank you all so much. Great comments. Right. So don't think of it like the keys are hard. There's no such thing as a hard key. It's just unfamiliar keys. Now ask yourself this. Hello, Valerie. Hello, Jamal. Ask yourself this. Why is, and I'm not saying this is the case for you. I'm just using this for an example. Why is it easy or comfortable to play in A flat, but it's not comfortable to play in A? Now, like I said, that may not be your situation, but I'm using that for an example. Okay. Why? Why would it be easy to play in the key of C sharp, but hard to play in D? Why? Really, what it is A flat is more familiar, or C sharp is more familiar. And why? Because you spend more time playing in A flat. So therefore, you get more accustomed to it, you get used to it, you practice in it a lot, you play in it a lot, so you get comfortable with A flat. And if you avoid, say for example, A, how will you ever get to the place where you get comfortable with it? And so that is the second key. Stop avoiding keys. Stop avoiding keys. If you want to get to the place where you're very proficient in every key, don't avoid them. Approach them from the perspective of, this is not a hard key. This is just an unfamiliar key. And if I spend just as much time in this key as I do in another key, then I'm going to be just as good in this key as I am in this other one. And I guarantee you that's exactly what's going to happen. As a matter of fact, some of the keys, maybe if you have been doing this, you maybe haven't not. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. But if you have been doing this, avoiding keys, you may find that when you start playing in one of those keys that you were avoiding, you may find that you actually may like that key. Now I get to I play in every key, but now it's not just about playing in keys for comfort's sake. I play in certain keys because of the tonality of the key or the quality of the key. Some keys are brighter than others. Some keys sound more mellow. You'll get to the place where it's not even about if I'm comfortable in it. You'll get to the place where you just like the sound of that particular key, for certain songs or for certain situations. And that's really what you want to get to, where the key is really more so about, I like the tonality of A. When I'm playing this type of song, I like the sound of E. Not that it's just more comfortable to play in E. I like the way it sounds in E. And that's what you want to get to. Okay? So key number 2, stop avoiding keys. If you spend time in that key, I guarantee you're going to get good in that key. Okay? You're going to get proficient. So don't avoid keys if you don't have to. Now, I would not say now, say for example, if say for example you're not comfortable in A natural or B natural or something like that, and you're playing at your church, and this particular Sunday you all are on national TV, you're streaming live. Well, not national TV. Well, just say for example you're in a critical situation where you really need to be on point. Okay, don't say, well, Kenneth Hollins told me to stop avoiding keys, so today is the day that I'm going to stop avoiding keys in front of a million people and I'm going to see what happens. Do not do that. Stop avoiding keys when it's not a critical moment. Okay, let me put it like that. If it's not critical, okay, if it's not critical, don't avoid the key. Now, don't put yourself in a situation to crash and burn. But if it's not a critical situation, don't avoid the key. Okay. All right. So that's key number 2. Key number 3. Now this is a big one right here. Start thinking mathematically. This is a big one. Start thinking mathematically. Okay. Um, Music is mathematical. Okay. And if you think mathematically, what that's going to do is it's going to take a lot of the mystery out of playing in every key. Okay? If you start thinking mathematically, you're going to know if we were to do a C major scale, if we were to do a C major scale, we know that C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7. Okay, so each one of those notes has a number. Okay, and so we could approach it like this. The scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, or we could approach it mathematically. The scale is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's a different way of thinking. So I'm not thinking about notes. Hear me, somebody. I'm not thinking about notes. I'm thinking about numbers. Okay. And if you make that shift in the way you think about your music, what it's going to do is help you to transcend that obstacle of being able to play in every key, because a one is always a one no matter what key you're in. A four is always a four no matter what key you're in. A seven is always a seven no matter what key you're in. A minor seven is a minor seven no matter what the key is. So what am I saying? If you start to think mathematically, automatically it's going to put you in a place where each key now is going to be even, as opposed to, you thinking about notes, or note names, rather, like A or B or C sharp or F sharp or B flat or whatnot. And then you have to try to take the notes and apply it to another key. That's a whole lot more things to process in your mind, which sometimes makes it more difficult. I hope I'm making sense. I don't want to get too deep with this, but what I am saying is, if you start to think mathematically, it's going to make it a lot easier just in the way you process it in your mind. Hello, Devin. Oh, that's a good question. Well, why does it seem like people that transpose play better? Uh, that's a tricky one. It could be that they just have gotten proficient with using transpose, and they go to the keys that they're comfortable with and really play in that key, and then transpose it to make it sound like another key, but really they're just playing just in the key that they're comfortable with, and I guess it would sound better doing that. Okay, Jamal says no, they don't. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. Okay, but what I am saying is, if you think musical, not musical, but if you think mathematical, it's going to really really help you. So this is what I encourage people to do. If you want to start to think mathematical when you play, okay, start thinking mathematical. Take a scale and play your scale, a major scale. Dun, bum, 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 bum. And while you're playing that scale on your keyboard or the organ, whatever you're playing, say the numbers out loud while you're doing it. So physically play it so that you can hear it, and then also say the numbers out loud while you're actually playing it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and actually do that. And then go to the next key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then go through all 12 keys doing that. What that's going to do is anchor in your mind the number that goes to the particular note of the scale. And that's what you want to do. I think if you have not been doing this, that's going to be a good transition for you getting to the place where you start to think mathematically. So automatically in your mind, if you're in the key of C, you know that F is 4. You know that B is 7. You know that D is 2. You know that A is 6. And you don't even have to think a lot about that, because you have kind of anchored that in your mind, because you've played the scales and said the numbers out loud while you're doing it. And it actually helps with ear training too. You get accustomed to hearing what a four sounds like, or what a six sounds like, what a two sounds like. So when you hear, say for example, you're listening to a song on the radio and you've really spent time in going through your scales and saying the numbers out loud, you may hear the bass guitar hit a certain note, and oh, that's a four. Oh, he went to the two right there. He went to the six. And just by hearing it, you'll know what it is because of these exercises. So this is a real good thing to do. It helps to make you, or to help you rather, to think mathematically, and it's also really, really good ear training. Okay, so that's what I would recommend to start to think mathematically. Okay, I don't want to get too deep on this particular video, but also you can take songs that you already know, and to see if you can figure out the kind of chords that you're playing. For example, maybe the first chord is on the one, or the bass note is on one, and it may be a major chord. So you would call that one major. And then maybe the next chord, you go to the two, and it may be a minor seven chord with a two bass note. And then you'll call that two minor seven. And then maybe the next chord may be a four, which is maybe a major, and you'll call that four major. And so what you can do is take a song that you already know and that you already can play, and then start to assign. You may even want to write it down on paper. This will really help you to do this. Write down the number of the bass note along with the quality of the chord, whether it's major, minor, dominant seven, half diminished, that's just minor seven flat five, 13 chord, dominant seven sharp, five sharp, now whatever it is, you write that down and you go through the whole entire song like that, and then it reveals to you, oh, okay, it's moving from the one to the six to the four, and you see that. Now, it may take a little while for you to do it, but it's gonna really do something great for you the way you think. And then you take that same information that you wrote down for that song, and then you go and try to apply it to a new key. Say, for example, the song was in F, and you wrote down all the information. The bass note moved from a two to a five to a four to a six, and you write down on the two it was minor seven. When it went to five, it was dominant seven. You write down all that information, and then you take that exact same thing that you wrote down, and then you apply it to a completely different key. And when you start doing that, that's for a lot of people, that's when the light bulbs are going to come on. You're going to say, oh, okay. So all I have to do is take that information from that song in the original key that I learned it in and apply it to another key. And you're going to start saying, oh, I get it. So I could literally do this with any key, and it'll take the mystery out of it. You know, especially if you have learned songs like this, and there's nothing wrong with learning songs like this. If you've learned from videos and someone would tell you, okay, with the right hand play C, with the left hand play F, uh, or C, E flat, A flat with the right hand, and play F with the left hand. You know, so they're giving you all of these notes, but no understanding of what kind of chord it is, um, what scale degree or number that the bass note is on. So that could be a mystery, even though you can play the song. Song sounds good, sounds great, but you may not understand what's really going on with the song in terms of the mathematics of the song. And so if you figure out the mathematics, you can apply it to any key. Okay? I hope I'm making sense. I don't want to get too deep on that, but if you start to think mathematically about your plan, I'm telling you, it's gonna eliminate a whole lot of mystery about it. Okay, so that's key number three. Key number four is this: take familiar songs that you already know and then try to apply them in every key. I did this. One of the first songs that I did this on, I believe, was "Jesus Is Real" by John P. Key. Da 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 boom 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 boom. That's like one of the first songs that I tried to take the song. I believe it's originally, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it was originally in E flat, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's right. And what I would do is take that song and the progressions that that it's doing, dum ba dum bump bump bump, just those first three chords, excuse me, those first three chords is moving from, and now if I look at the numbers, excuse me, the notes is moving from an E flat major chord to a G minor seven to a C minor seven. Okay. Now that's how many people would learn it. Say, for example, I was teaching a tutorial. Somebody else was teaching a tutorial. Learn Jesus Is Real by John P. Key in the key of E flat. Okay. And so they would tell you, okay, with your right hand, you're going to play an E flat major chord. Okay. And the way I'm playing it, you can play a B flat, E flat, and G. and with your left hand you play an E flat, and that's the first chord. Okay, let's go to the second chord. All right, we're gonna go to a G minor seven, and with what I'm playing B flat, D, and F with my right hand, and then G with my left hand. And then for my third chord, I'm playing with your right hand, play B flat, E flat, and G with the right hand, then play a C with the left hand. Okay, and and they could keep going and give you the whole entire song. And when it's over with, you can play the song. When it's over with, you sound good. When it's over with, you sound like you really know what you're doing. But if you stop right there, you may limit yourself in terms of being able to play it in more than just that one key. And I think that's where the struggle is for a lot of musicians, because the way a lot of us, including me, we learn gospel music is somewhat similar to that. Now, everybody doesn't learn gospel music like that. And I don't want to put everybody in a little box, because some people, they are very proficient and fluent readers. Some people, they read chord symbols very well. Some people, their ears are just out of this world. They can hear everything and just pick up stuff like that. So I know everybody doesn't learn the same way. But what I am saying is a lot of people do learn the way I just demonstrated. And sometimes they could have limitations because it only teaches you that one key as opposed to the other 11 keys. So this is what I recommend. You get to the place where you learn the song, however you learn it, but then you take that song and you break it down, just like I mentioned a little while ago, where you break it down. That first chord is a one major. Okay, it's E flat major. E flat is the one, and the quality of the chord is major. So that's a one major. Then we go to the second chord. Second chord is a G minor seven. So the G is the third of the key, and the quality of the chord is minor seven. So now I know it's a three minor seven. We keep going. Then the third chord is C minor seven. And I know a C is the sixth of E flat. And then the quality of the chord is minor seven. So I have just shifted and moved from E flat major, G minor seven, C minor seven to one major, three minor seven, six minor seven. Okay. The advantage of doing that is now I can change the key from E flat to E. And now it's still one major, three minor seven, six minor seven. I can shift the key from E to F, and it's still one major seven, three minor seven, going to six minor seven. I can shift the key to G flat, and it's still one major seven, one major going to three minor seven, six minor seven. I hope somebody is hearing what I'm saying. I'm really giving you some really good keys to really break out of the limitation of not being able to play in every key. Okay, and so what I did, let's go back to Jesus is Real. I took ba da da bumped bump bump 1 3 6, and I took it up a half step, ba ba da bump bump bump, and took it up another half step, ba ba da bump bump bump. Okay, just three keys. Okay, three chords rather. We taking up another half step, ba ba da bump. And I'm not doing it. I'm not a singer, y'all. It's you all probably can hear. Stop laughing at my singing. But the whole point is, I'm just trying to show you how I approached taking a song that I knew in one key, and then I started to apply that song rather, in every key. And that goes back to practicing evenly. Okay? And so um, that goes a long way when you really approach it that way. So you take songs that you know in a familiar key, and then you practice it in all the keys. Okay? And then this is the last key that I'm going to share with you today on this. Take hymns. I think hymns, um, Devin, what about learning? I believe learning songs in fifths and fourths and half steps are a wonderful way to learn songs. That's a good question. Um, okay. Thank you, Smooth Buddha. I love your name, Smooth Buddha. I like that. But the last key is take hymns, simple hymns, like maybe Amazing Grace, something like that, or Hear Our Prayer, O Lord. Um, real simple things that, the chords are not real complicated and it's not a whole lot, it's not real long. And learn it maybe in the original key. If you could read it out in the hymn book, hey, do it. Learn it in the original key and then take that and learn it in another key. Maybe go up a four. Say, for example, the song is in C, okay, and then you learn it in C, and you want to practice in the circle of fourths. Then you play it in F. See if you can play it in F. Then go to B flat. Now, we're following the circle of fourths now. See if you can play it in B flat. Go up another fourth. Then to the key of E flat. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with the circle of fourths, I just go ahead and call it out now. This is just a cycle of fourths that ensures you that you're gonna do a complete circle to where you're going to end up where you started. That way, you're going to evenly hit every key. So the circle of fourths is first C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B natural, E natural, A, D, and G. And then we would go back to C. I'm going to leave this up. I know I said it kind of fast. So if you're writing, if you want to write this down, you can. I'm going to say it again. The circle of fourths would be this C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B natural, E natural, A natural, D natural, and G. Okay, so that's the circle of fourths. I know a lot of people already know that, but just in case you didn't, that's a good way to practice the things that you learn. Okay. And you also could do the circle of fifths as well. The circle of fifths would be great too. I generally practice things in the circle of fourths for the most part, but the circle of fifths is perfectly fine. Um, and I also practice in half steps. So I start at C, then go to D flat, then D, then E flat, then E. So again, not skipping or avoiding any keys chromatically. That's right. Okay. So those are my five tips or keys for playing in every key. Number one, practice evenly. Practice in the circle of fourths, circle of fifths. Practice, if you want to, in the whole tone scale, and then go to another whole tone scale. Practice chromatically or in half steps. So that's first key. Second key: stop avoiding keys. A is not hard. A is just unfamiliar. So if you spend time in A, you're going to get just as proficient in A as you are in A flat. Okay, I promise you, that's exactly what's going to happen. So don't avoid keys in non-critical moments. Now, if it's a critical moment, you're in front of a lot of people and you really need to be on point and on top of it. If you need to, you better use that transpose button if you're not used to playing in that key. Okay. Now I don't encourage people to use transpose, but I'm not going to beat you over the head if you need it. If you need to use it, just use it and just practice and get to the place where you don't need it. Okay, I just put it like that. All right. So you want to stop avoiding keys. Third key is think mathematically. Start thinking mathematically. The fourth key is take songs that you already know and try to start learning them in every key. Okay. And then the fifth key is learn simple hymns and then also learn them in every key. Okay. So those are my five tips or keys for you to be able to play in every key. And so you have to really be patient. You have to be willing to put in a little extra work, but I guarantee you it is definitely worth it. I mean, it's you just don't understand the peace of mind that you will have when you sit down at something like a testimony service and you don't know what key a person is in, and you definitely don't want to be a person that that somebody is singing in E and you just conveniently play it in F anyway. Like, I ain't playing it. Okay, I'm not gonna tease right now. Okay. Okay, are there any questions? Anybody? I hope this is helping. Are there any keys? I mean any questions? Done. Yes, sir. Me too. Thank you, Jamal. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Smooth Buddha. Any questions? Well, the exercise that I recommend, I mentioned a little earlier in this live, is to take your major scales and play them, on keyboard, piano, organ, whatever you're using, and say the numbers of each note of the scale out loud. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two, one, and do that in every key. And what that does is it anchors the numbers of those notes in your mind, and then it helps you to start to think mathematically. So that's one thing um that I recommend. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. Always, you can go to hollinsmusic.com for more lessons. We have several things in our store. And then you also can go to mykeyboardconnection.com, and you can sign up. And I really believe you're going to enjoy it and love the info there too. All right. You guys be blessed. And remember, HMPI, we're serving gospel musicians all over the world.